A wealthy widower brings his ailing daughter to a clinic and is struck motionless upon seeing the doctor. It's the affection he cherished in his early years. "Is that you, Jack?" Though Grace's voice was steady, it took him by surprise entirely. She emerged from the exam room, clipboard clutched tightly, her vibrant gaze meeting his. He stood still. His heart pounded with such intensity that he was convinced she could hear it. "Grace?" His voice emerged raspy, as if it had been misplaced somewhere between the journey and this very instant. She blinked, a fleeting look of surprise crossing her face, swift and subtle, then swiftly concealed by her professionalism. "Jack Reynolds. Has been what? Is it really 12 years? Her tone was calm, yet gentle. Emma's cough erupted abruptly, a jarring, rasping noise that pulled Jack's attention sharply. He wrapped the scarf snugly around her petite frame, protecting her from the cold air of the clinic. "Apologies," his voice faltered. "She's on fire. I never anticipated it would reach this level of severity." Grace cast a quick look at Emma, who was cocooned in a pink blanket, her cheeks rosy, eyes wide with fear. "Let's have her evaluated once more. It is essential to keep a close watch on her breathing." Jack gulped nervously. It seemed as though his entire existence had shrunk within the confines of this narrow hospital corridor. "Kindly take all necessary actions. All I desire is for her to be all right." Grace inclined her head, moving closer until she could speak in hushed tones. "Emma's autoimmune condition leaves her susceptible to infections. This fever and difficulty breathing, it's quite concerning." Jack felt a constriction in his throat. "I understand. I feel an overwhelming sense of fear." She has maintained stability. Yet this evening, his hand quivered as he gently swept Emma's hair aside. They struck swiftly. Grace observed them both for a moment, her expression becoming gentler. "I wish you had brought her here earlier." He choked back the sharpness of the unspoken blame. "I feared it had all been in vain, but then better late than never." She gave a subtle, reassuring smile before turning to summon a nurse. Jack watched her leave, and an unexpected rush of nostalgia swept over him. "You look exactly the same," he muttered, quickly realizing his slip. Grace hesitated for a moment, yet she did not look back. "It's often remarked upon when colleagues encounter me in the workplace." He chuckled, a sound tinged more with anxiety than amusement. "It's quite unusual to encounter you here after all this time. Seattle has treated me well." Her voice carried a calmness, yet felt far away. "What about you? I heard you were making significant strides with your startup." Jack offered a subtle smile. "Indeed, vast and solitary." A nurse pushed a cart filled with monitors nearby. Grace gestured for them to come along. "We should arrange for Emma to undergo some tests. We will require blood tests and chest x-rays." Jack's pace quickened as he followed, Emma's delicate hand firmly clasping his. In the exam room, Grace softly knelt beside Emma, resting a cool hand on her forehead. "Emma, my dear, I am Dr. Parker. I'm here to support you and help you feel better. All right?" Emma offered a feeble nod, yet her gaze remained fixed on Jack. Jack gulped nervously. "So you're the one in charge of her care?" The phrases struck hard, tinged with astonishment and a gentler essence beneath. Grace lifted her gaze. "I'm keeping a close watch on her, indeed. I seek to comprehend the underlying reasons for this flare-up." For a fleeting instant, their gazes intertwined. A lifetime of unspoken thoughts conveyed in a single glance. Suddenly, the door swung open, and Jack's phone vibrated with a sharp buzz. He extracted it. The screen illuminated with the name Olivia Burns. His chest constricted. Grace offered Emma a tissue at the moment Jack's gaze wandered away. "Pardon me." He entered the hallway, phone pressed against his ear. Before Jack could utter a word, Olivia declared, "We need to talk. I'm aware that Emma is unwell. I regret to say that this is an unfortunate moment." Jack's jaw tightened. "Olivia, now isn't—" "No, it's just right," she interjected seamlessly. "You seem to be losing focus. The board is quite uneasy. Investors are showing keen interest." Jack's gaze darted back to the exam room, where Grace was busy fine-tuning the monitors. Do not engage in that game with me. The games have commenced, Jack. The decision rests in your hands. Act swiftly to divest before your enterprise crumbles, or stand your ground and risk it all. He shut his eyes for a moment, battling to maintain his composure. I refuse to allow you to manipulate my daughter in this situation. Olivia's voice took on a gentle tone, laced with a hint of sarcasm. This isn't the focus here. Yet, life is brimming with difficult decisions, Jack. He ended the call, his heart racing. As he turned around, he observed Grace softly comforting Emma, meticulously monitoring her vitals with attentive precision. Jack's voice carried a hushed quality. Your presence caught me off guard, and in such an unexpected manner. Grace remained focused on her task, not glancing up right away. Same here. He moved in nearer. What is Emma's condition? How grave? Grace locked eyes with him, her expression earnest. At this moment, it's intricate. We must conduct comprehensive panels, and this process may require several days. This is not an ailment that simply vanishes. Jack gulped nervously. I feel a sense of fear. I understand, Grace replied softly. However, we will strive to do all that is within our power. She is well cared for. He nodded, experiencing an unusual blend of relief and lingering sorrow. Grace remarked, It's wonderful to see you again, Jack. Even if the circumstances. Her voice faded into silence as she took a deep breath. Indeed. He gazed down at Emma, her breaths shallow yet steady. It seems as though fate has conspired to reunite us at a time when I least desired it. Perhaps it isn't merely a matter of luck, Grace remarked. Perhaps it revolves around our actions in the present moment. A sharp beep echoed from the intercom. Dr. Parker, please proceed to the lab station. Grace cast a final glance at Jack. I'll return shortly to discuss the upcoming steps. As she turned away, Jack's thoughts surged, filled not only with worries for Emma, but also with recollections of happier times and inquiries he felt unprepared to confront. He extended his hand and gently clasped Emma's. We will navigate this journey side by side. Beyond the window, the overcast sky of Seattle appeared to draw nearer. Within the sterile walls, there was an essence that transcended the mere presence of medical machines. They grasped the delicate strand of an opportunity reborn. Grace came back, holding 2 printed sheets, and set them down on the counter. The results of the blood tests have arrived. Imaging is essential to eliminate any potential complications prior to initiating treatment. Jack picked up the papers, his eyes gliding over the intricate medical terminology. I apologize, Emma. A lengthy night awaits. Emma gazed upward, her eyes heavy with fatigue. Father, he offered a faint smile. Absolutely, darling. Father has arrived. Grace's voice took on a gentle quality. Jack, I'll keep you posted with any updates. Feel free to reach out to me whenever you like. He gave a slow, deliberate nod. Thanks, Grace. The atmosphere was thick with silence, laden with untold stories and the impending future that loomed ahead. The subtle hum of Seattle's vibrant life lingered just beyond the exam room door. Yet within, the past and present intertwined, charting a path that none could escape. 2 days later, Jack sat at his polished mahogany desk, the Seattle skyline fading into shadows behind his office windows. Emma's test results revealed a complex situation, an autoimmune flare-up that was much more severe than he had anticipated. The tests and scans validated Grace's forewarning. This was an extraordinary ailment, not something to be dismissed or hurried past. The gentle vibration of his phone resonated on the table. He cast a quick look downward. Grace Parker, 8:45 in the morning. After a moment of pause, he finally responded. Hello, Jack. How is Emma doing? Her voice exuded a soothing calmness, providing a steady reassurance akin to the clinic's atmosphere. She's gripping tightly. Some medications are proving beneficial, yet Dr. Carlson prefers to maintain a vigilant oversight. A moment of silence lingered. I'm pleased you reached out. Jack let out a breath. Thank you for keeping everything in check. I apologize for my abrupt departure yesterday afternoon. You made the right choice, Grace remarked. I understand the struggle of juggling work and everything else. Jack swept a hand through his hair, his eyes heavy with fatigue. This week has been quite chaotic. The silence lingered for a moment. Grace then suggested, "If you'd like, I can meet you after work. Perhaps we could discuss not solely focusing on Emma." Jack's fingers came to a halt. "Absolutely, that sounds great. All right, I'll send you the time shortly." He ended the call, burdened by the heaviness of unspoken thoughts. Discussing Emma was one matter. It was a challenge, yet it was essential. Discussing anything beyond that seemed akin to leaping into the abyss. Later that afternoon, Grace completed the documentation of Emma's most recent lab results at the clinic. The local hospital was still infused with the sense of antiseptic and optimism. Despite the relentless hours and constrained budgets, Grace took pride in the work she accomplished in this place. A message from Jack made her phone vibrate with anticipation. 6:30 p.m., Cafe on 5th? With a gentle smile, she began to craft her response. At the charming cafe close to Pike Place Market, Jack made his entrance ahead of time. His typically sharp suit was mellowed by a well-loved jacket. Grace caught sight of him from across the room, and in that instant, time seemed to dissolve. He appeared unchanged, yet time had etched its marks upon him. A great deal had transformed. Jack acknowledged her presence with a nod as she drew near. "I had my doubts about your arrival." Grace confessed that she wasn't either. "However, I believe it's important for us to have a conversation." He motioned toward a table near the window. "How do we begin this journey?" Grace took a delicate sip of her coffee. "What about your daughter? Emma truly embodies courage for such a young girl." Jack's smile was faint yet sincere. "Indeed, she is. I feel like that aspect often gets lost amidst everything else." Grace said softly, "She's fortunate to have you." Jack averted his gaze, swallowing hard. "At times, I find myself questioning my own worth." Her fingers brushed against his hand. "A fleeting connection. Indeed, you are. It's perfectly fine to seek assistance." He locked eyes with her, taken aback by the effortless ease of his vulnerability, despite the space that separated them. Grace inquired, "How's work going? Is Olivia still hovering around you?" Jack winced. "Now more than ever. She is exploiting Emma's illness for her own advantage. Contacted me this morning, exerted more pressure than ever before." Grace arched an eyebrow. "That's quite disappointing." "Indeed. She's attempting to sow seeds of doubt among my colleagues, claiming that I'm overly distracted and lacking strength." Grace's jaw clenched. "You're not weak," Jack said, shaking his head. "With Emma unwell and your return to my life, I'm struggling to maintain clarity amidst the chaos. Perhaps it's not necessary." That struck him more profoundly than he anticipated. "Could you clarify what you mean?" Grace gazed out the window, lost in contemplation. "You've dedicated countless hours pursuing achievement, technological advancements, funding sources, and conflicts with individuals such as Olivia. What occurs when you forget what truly holds significance?" Jack let out a deep breath. 2 years have passed since I lost my wife, and since then, I've been grasping onto Emma and this company as if they were my only lifelines. She gave a slow nod. "I understand that." Her voice took on a gentle quality. "My parents put in tremendous effort to pave my way into the field of medicine. I view each patient as a vital piece of a larger struggle, contributing to the greater good and fostering a sense of community." "That's stunning," Jack remarked. "I find myself contemplating whether there's a larger purpose or opportunity that I'm overlooking in my life." Grace looked at her watch. "I must return. A bustling evening awaits." Jack rose as well. "I appreciate this and everything else as well." She beamed with joy. "Hold off on the gratitude for now. This marks the start of something greater." The following day, Jack found himself at the board meeting, struggling to concentrate while investors and executives loomed around him like predatory sharks. Olivia was the first to speak, her incisive voice slicing through the atmosphere. "Jack's personal circumstances have hindered his capacity to guide effectively during this crucial quarter. I suggest we explore strategies to safeguard the company's future." Jack's jaw clenched with tension. He cast a quick look at Grace's message. Reach out if you feel like sharing your thoughts. Text, thank you for your concern, Olivia, Jack replied, rising to his feet. However, I am completely dedicated to both this organization and my loved ones. We are well aware that distractions are fleeting. However, it's the vision that truly counts in the long run. Olivia's eyes shimmered with an enigmatic glint. Following the meeting, Jack withdrew to his office, fatigue weighing heavily upon him. The sound of his phone ringing pierced the silence. Once more, Olivia's name illuminated the screen. Jack, she uttered with a graceful ease. I'm simply here to assist you. You're reaching your limits. Have you considered the possibility of selling? Could be the solution. Jack's fingers clenched tightly into a fist. I refuse to relinquish my company due to a mere strategic maneuver. Do as you wish, Olivia remarked, her tone composed. However, this battle will demand more from you than you realize. Jack concluded the conversation, inhaling deeply. That evening, Grace found herself in the softly lit clinic break room, her thoughts drifting to Jack's words and Olivia's relentless strategies. A coworker strolled by, casually bringing up a recent opportunity at a well-financed hospital in the city center. An opportunity for Grace to elevate her professional journey, yet distant from the beloved community she cherished. A message from her supervisor illuminated her phone screen. Crucial gathering scheduled for tomorrow. Professional prospects. Grace gazed at the screen, caught in a struggle between her aspirations and her emotions. In the cozy confines of the Reynolds apartment, Emma held onto her father tightly as he gently tucked her in for the night. The fever had subsided, yet the journey ahead seemed endless. Father, of course, my dear, will Dr. Grace visit me once more? Jack smiled gently, caressing her hair with tender strokes. She certainly will. She is a wonderful companion. Emma's eyelids fluttered shut. Jack sat beside her, contemplating the delicate strands that bound them. His daughter, the figure from his history, and the tempest brewing at the office. He murmured softly in the stillness of the room, "We'll discover a path through this, in unity." Outside, Seattle was shrouded in a persistent drizzle, gray, unyielding. Yet within Jack's heart, the initial glimmers of hope began to awaken. For days later, the air outside the clinic was crisp and refreshing, embodying the quintessential late spring atmosphere that Seattle excelled in. Radiant, accompanied by a gentle breeze that suggested the arrival of summer while still requiring a jacket. Jack lingered in the modest waiting room, his weathered hands resting gently on his lap. Emma found herself in the company of Grace, who was adamant about conducting yet another series of tests following the recent flare-up. Jack observed the door intently, determined not to overlook a single movement. As Grace stepped out, her expression was serene yet weary. Emma trailed behind, her fingers wrapped around the small toy robot that Jack had purchased earlier. The girl's cheeks glowed with a rosy hue, a reassuring indication following days of anxious pallor. "How is she doing?" Jack inquired before Grace had the chance to step through the doorway. "Improved," Grace remarked with a gentle smile. "Her lungs have improved, and the new medication is proving effective. She remains delicate, yet I believe we've managed to navigate through the most challenging part this time." Emma glanced at her father before turning her gaze to Grace, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Dr. Grace remarked that I possess a strong resilience." Jack laughed softly, experiencing a warmth he hadn't realized was absent. "You are my courageous girl." Grace observed the two intently, her usual composure beginning to wane. "She is truly advancing. Continue to support her in taking time to rest and monitor her breathing closely. If there are any updates, feel free to return her." Jack gave a slight nod. "I appreciate everything you've done, Grace." She adjusted her bag, pulling it higher on her shoulder. "I'll be here, and you both know how to reach me." Just as she was about to depart, Emma pulled gently on Grace's coat sleeve. "Would you like to come over and have some fun together sometime? Perhaps consider bringing your stethoscope?" Grace smiled, feeling a warm sense of connection. "I'll explore the possibilities." Once Grace departed, Emma leaped in Jack's embrace, brimming with the limitless vitality of a child who sensed a newfound strength. Jack embraced her more closely, reflecting on the significance of this little one in his life and the growing desire to include Grace in their journey as well. That evening, Jack found himself at his kitchen table, the gentle hum of the city outside his window intertwining with the soft clatter of dishes and the soothing sounds of Emma's quiet play nearby. Once more, his phone vibrated with a notification. "Grace, are you available for coffee after your meeting?" Jack grinned, his thumb poised above the screen as he prepared to respond. "Absolutely, I'll catch you at 6. Later, at a quaint cafe tucked away among the towering glass structures, Jack arrived to discover Grace already there, a half-finished latte resting in front of her. She lifted her gaze and smiled, her eyes holding that unmistakable spark he had longed for. Jack began to ease himself into the chair across from her. "This has truly been a revelation for me." Engaging in conversation not focused on timetables or data, but on genuine matters. Grace gently swirled her coffee, letting the steam rise in delicate tendrils. One can easily become overwhelmed by the surrounding clamor. "I understand. My parents arrived here from Cuba. They toiled at 2 jobs, occasionally taking on a third, all to ensure our survival. I recall those evenings illuminated by candlelight during power outages, when we would share our hopes and aspirations for my future." Jack paid attention, truly intrigued. She expressed a desire to be the kind of doctor who remained in the city's core, working in clinics where assistance was genuinely required, rather than in the upscale hospitals, her voice low yet filled with pride. "At times, I find myself questioning whether my efforts truly matter, whether I am having any impact whatsoever." Jack extended his hand across the table instinctively, grazing her fingers softly. "Grace, your influence goes beyond that. You truly inspire me." She blinked, taken aback by his unexpected openness. Jack inhaled deeply. Since Sarah's passing, maintaining balance has become quite challenging. Emma relies on me more than I realized, yet at times I sense I'm falling short for her and the organization as well. Grace tightened her grip on his hand. "You're not failing. You're simply experiencing the essence of being human." They lingered for a moment, 2 individuals who had once shared a bond, navigating the delicate space between hazy boundaries and faded recollections. Throughout the coming week, Jack and Grace discovered themselves immersed in a series of shared experiences. At the clinic, during Emma's appointments, and on leisurely strolls by the waterfront, where the city lights sparkled around them. Emma's laughter started to resonate throughout the small apartment with increasing frequency, a delightful sound that had been absent for far too long. On a Thursday afternoon, while Jack observed Emma and Grace creating drawings on the floor, his phone vibrated with a sudden buzz. Olivia Burns gazed intently at him. His heart plummeted before he could even respond. "Jack," Olivia remarked, with a calm and measured demeanor. "It's time for a conversation. Your distractions are beginning to impact the board's performance. Discussions are underway regarding a potential reorganization of leadership. I recommend you think about what would be most beneficial for the company." Jack's jaw clenched. "Olivia, Emma's health is not merely a distraction. It's a pressing reality. Unlike you, I genuinely care about the individuals impacted by this company." "That's touching," Olivia responded, though the tone in her voice had taken on a more cutting quality than before. "Simply avoid allowing emotions to obscure your decision-making. Keep in mind, my aim is to safeguard what you've built." Jack concluded the conversation, sensing the weight of the situation intensifying. Later that day, Grace found herself in her modest office at the clinic, perusing through charts when her phone vibrated with a call from an unfamiliar number. A voice inquired, "Dr. Parker? This is Elaine Bishop, reaching out from the administration of Seattle General Hospital. It's time to have a conversation about your professional journey. It may be worth your while to reflect on the opportunities we've presented for growth, roles that come with enhanced compensation and improved resources, albeit with the necessity of relocation." Grace tensed. "Thank you for the offer, but my dedication to the community here runs deep." "Certainly," Elaine replied with poise, "but your abilities will resonate more profoundly at a bigger establishment. Contemplate what lies ahead." As the call concluded, Grace gazed out the window, suspended between two realms. The clinic felt like home, yet the allure of a larger stage beckoned to her aspirations. On that particular night, Jack found himself on the couch, with Emma peacefully asleep next to him. Grace had remained at the clinic into the evening, though they had already conversed earlier over the phone. Jack had informed her about the conversation with Olivia. Though Grace's voice remained steady, he could sense the underlying strain she was experiencing. In an instant, Jack's phone illuminated once more. A communication, this time originating from an unfamiliar number. Dr. Parker, I hold great respect for your contributions. Yet it may be time to reflect on your allegiances. Jack Reynolds finds himself in the spotlight. Your intimacy might lead to unexpected consequences. Consider your thoughts with intention. The following morning, Jack revealed the message to Grace during their encounter at the clinic. Her brow furrowed in discontent. Olivia is becoming quite perilous. She's toying with thoughts. Jack dragged a weary hand across his face. I refuse to let her triumph, and I will not sacrifice what is genuine because of her. Grace gave a resolute nod. In unity we stand for Emma and for ourselves. 2 nights later, as Emma drifted into slumber, Jack and Grace found themselves seated on the cozy balcony of his apartment. The city lights danced in the darkness below, while the air carried a refreshing chill. Jack finally lowered his defenses entirely. The last night Sarah was here, I never shared the details with you. As Emma lay in slumber, we engaged in a conversation about the future, sharing our hopes that everything would turn out just fine. Fear grips me, Grace. It lingers even now. Grace extended her hand, her fingers weaving together with his. You have companionship now. He gazed at her, the woman he had cherished and lost, now standing resolutely beside him once more. I aspire to create a future, not merely endure. Then let us begin the construction, Grace murmured gently. Jack smiled, feeling a sense of relief wash over him, as if a burden he had carried for months had finally lifted. The city exhaled, alive with a restless energy, uncertain yet brimming with potential. Within 3 lives, a delicate tapestry was gradually forming, poised to confront any tempests that may arise. For the first time, Jack felt a glimmer of hope that they could face it all together, side by side. Just 3 days had slipped by since that serene evening on Jack's balcony when the unimaginable occurred. Emma was engaged with a puzzle in the living room when her breathing abruptly became shallow and uneven, reminiscent of a delicate balloon losing air. Jack felt a sudden constriction in his chest. Is that you, Emma? His voice quivered as he knelt beside her. Could you take a breath for me, darling? She attempted to nod, but was overtaken by a fit of coughing, her chest convulsing with intensity. Panic coursed through Jack as he lifted her and hurried to the door, struggling to find his keys. Emma, hold on, we're heading to the hospital immediately. Grace sat in the clinic, her expression tense as they rushed in, their faces ashen and filled with urgency. Allow me to hold her, Grace requested, gently cradling Emma in her arms. Jack, she's experiencing a significant setback. We must transfer her to the ICU without delay. Jack felt a sinking sensation in his stomach. Intensive care unit? How severe is it? Grace was straightforward. It's important. Her immune system is fiercely targeting her lungs. We must ensure her stability before the situation deteriorates further. Time seemed to dissolve as nurses rushed about. Monitors emitted their rhythmic beeps, and Jack trailed the team through the double doors into the intensive care unit. He remained motionless beside Emma, watching as the machines meticulously managed her oxygen, tubes weaving in and out of her fragile form. Jack's thoughts whirled, yet nothing found its place. He clutched the armrest of the chair, his knuckles pale and tense. At last, Grace took him aside. Jack, I'm putting forth my utmost effort, but this is going to be a challenging battle. I can't bear the thought of losing her, he murmured, his voice trembling. Grace regarded him with unwavering focus. None of us do. However, you possess great strength. Emma senses that power. Jack forced down the knot tightening in his throat, trying to convince himself of the truth. A week later, the atmosphere in the company's boardroom was charged. The expansive glass table encircled by stern expressions and cutting remarks. Olivia Burns stood at the forefront, her smile constrained yet unyielding. "Jack," she started, "your recent personal challenges are affecting your ability to lead. Our investors require assurance. A shift in leadership is seen by many as essential for the company's future." Jack felt a tightness in his throat, a tumult of guilt and anger battling inside him. "Emma's condition is not a mere distraction," Jack retorted. "As a father, it is my duty." Olivia's gaze sharpened. "I appreciate your commitment, but business is not a personal matter. If the two cannot be distinguished, this company will face challenges." A soft whisper circulated among the gathered group. Jack sensed a familiar doubt beginning to surface. He tightened his hands into fists under the table. "Let me clarify," Jack stated, his voice steady yet resolute. "I refuse to let this organization crumble due to internal conflicts. I am devoted to my family and dedicated to this enterprise." Olivia maintained her unwavering smile. "It will be interesting to observe the duration of that commitment." Jack exited the meeting, a tempest brewing within him, harboring resentment toward Olivia, yet also plagued by a persistent uncertainty about how long he could maintain this delicate balance between two worlds. Meanwhile, Grace's phone buzzed with a call that drew her into a different kind of battle. "Dr. Parker, it is with great pleasure that we extend to you an official offer for a position within the pediatric department at Seattle General," stated Elaine Bishop, the hospital administrator. "This is a fantastic opportunity and truly earned. I believe that transitioning to a larger facility will enable you to enhance your abilities and connect with a greater number of patients." Grace's fingers clenched the phone tightly. "Thank you, Elaine. Your offer is truly generous. We recognize the personal connections you may need to weigh." Elaine continued with poise. "Yet this could mark a pivotal moment in your professional journey." Once the call concluded, Grace leaned back in her chair, feeling the heavy burden of her choice settle upon her. She cast her eyes upon a photograph of Emma affixed to her desk, the child's grin illuminating the faded image. Then her thoughts drifted to Jack, the man who had grown so significant in these recent weeks. Was she prepared to abandon everything? The clinic, the delicate new family they had begun, to pursue a career she had once longed for? That evening, Grace encountered Jack at her cherished serene location in the city, a quaint park with a view of the water. The atmosphere was invigorating, with the sun gently descending beyond the rolling hills. Jack noticed the uncertainty reflected in her gaze while they lingered on the bench. "You've been rather silent," he remarked softly. Grace let out a breath. "I've received an offer for a position at Seattle General. It signifies an improved salary and upgraded equipment, yet it's located on the opposite side of the state." Jack felt a heavy weight in his chest. "What does that imply?" "It signifies a choice between all that I have established here and the future we are striving to create together." Jack cast his gaze downward, the atmosphere thick with tension. "I don't want to rush you. Your dedication to this effort is evident." Grace extended her hand, grasping his firmly. "I find myself in a state of conflict, Jack. I wish to support both Emma and you, yet I also seek to remain authentic to myself." Jack grasped her hand, acutely aware of the delicate bond they shared. He acknowledged that there is much to manage for everyone. The board is on edge, Olivia is intensifying her efforts, and Emma continues to resist. "I'm uncertain about how much longer I can manage everything." Grace gently shook her head. "You're carrying the weight for everyone, Jack, but perhaps it's all right to seek assistance." A sharp beep from Jack's phone cut through the conversation. A message from the clinic. Emma's vitals have found a semblance of stability, yet they still hang in a delicate balance. Jack's shoulders relaxed slightly. She continues to battle on. In a soft voice, much like her father's, Grace whispered. The following morning, Jack made his way to the hospital, arriving early to find Emma in a serene slumber, the gentle hum of the machines providing a soothing backdrop. Grace was present, poring over her notes at the nurse's station. "You seem weary," Grace remarked, her gaze soft yet etched with worry. Jack gave a nonchalant shrug. It feels as though one is submerged beneath the waves. Each breath matters. Grace gave a slight nod. It's time for you to come up, Jack. To Emma. Jack gazed at her, the reality dawning upon him. I'm prepared to confront Olivia, but I'm not willing to jeopardize our relationship. Grace smiled, a flicker of her former brilliance illuminating her expression. It's unlikely that you will. Without warning, the door swung open, and in walked Dr. Michael Chun, the chief physician of the clinic. Jack, we find ourselves in a pressing predicament. Olivia has recently raised concerns regarding your leadership. An article is currently making its way to the press. Jack's gaze deepened with intensity. Her intensity is increasing. Grace rested her hand gently on his arm. In unity we find our strength. Jack gave a slight nod. To Emma. For our benefit. Later that afternoon, in a charged hospital corridor, Grace found herself standing alone for a brief moment before her phone buzzed once more. She's not one to be easily swayed, she remarked softly, attentive to the moment. I understand. She concluded the conversation and inhaled deeply, glancing toward Emma's room at the end of the hallway. Jack stood by, gently grasping the little girl's hand. She stirred faintly but managed to open her eyes and offer a smile. Grace inched nearer. Emma, she whispered gently. We will overcome this challenge. Emma's fingers danced with a subtle energy, clasping Grace's hand just a touch more firmly. Jack locked eyes with Grace, a silent exchange of vows lingering in the air. Two realms, the clash of corporate ambitions and the delicate state of well-being, teetered on the edge. In that moment, the tight-knit family stood as their most formidable shield. That evening, Jack found himself in his office, getting ready for the board meeting where Olivia would confront him yet again. A message from Grace made his phone vibrate. No matter what unfolds tomorrow, I will be present. Jack's fingers lingered in the air, poised above the keys as he prepared to respond. I refuse to yield. He cast a glance at Emma's shut door before turning his gaze back to the skyline, illuminated by the dwindling light. The battle was only starting. For the first time, Jack experienced a sense of companionship. 3 days later, the atmosphere in the company's polished boardroom was thick with tension once more. Jack positioned himself at the head of the table, surrounded by a handful of recognizable faces. Board members recognized for their steadfastness, unmoved by Olivia's strategic murmurs. Some were longtime companions, while others were dedicated team members whose trust in Jack had remained steadfast since the inception of the company. Olivia strode in with an air of ownership, her trademark confident smile effortlessly shining through. Yet Jack perceived a glimmer of something different, the tiniest fissure in her seemingly unassailable shield. Good morning, everyone, Olivia started with grace. I trust everyone has gone through the reports. I'm here because it's time for us to engage in a meaningful discussion regarding leadership and the path forward. The organization requires consistency. Jack's gaze fixed intently on hers. The organization requires integrity and commitment, rather than diversions and covert maneuvering. Olivia's eyes narrowed with intensity. Jack, it seems that your personal issues are clouding your decision-making. Emma's illness and your rekindled relationship are indeed genuine, but they are also obscuring your capacity to lead effectively. That's unjust, Jack remarked softly yet resolutely. I am more dedicated than ever. Perhaps it's due to my understanding of what truly matters. A hush enveloped the room for a brief moment. Mark, one of the senior board members, cleared his throat. Jack is correct. We've endured much alongside him. His vision transformed this company from the ground up. A new voice, Susan, entered the conversation with a touch of hesitation. Initially, I had my doubts, but given recent events, I believe Jack's dedication to family only strengthens him. It empowers him. Olivia's smile grew taut, her gaze darting to the door, contemplating her next step. However, she remarked, I value your input, yet transformation is unavoidable. Jack rose with a deliberate slowness, the burden of fatigue evident in his every motion. Yet his resolve shone through unmistakably. Not while I'm here. Outside the boardroom, Olivia lingered in solitude, her phone held firmly against her ear. It's essential to grasp this concept. She admitted softly that she never wished for it to reach this point. This goes beyond mere business for me. It's about demonstrating something. For just a fleeting moment, her voice wavered. As I navigated my early years, few believed I would reach this point. I grew up in a quaint little town, raised by a single mother who juggled 2 jobs to ensure we had meals on the table. I exerted myself intensely because it was necessary. I pursued this company because I sought to define my identity. However, it slipped my mind. Lost sight of the significance of the individuals behind the statistics. I believed that eliminating Jack was the sole path to achieving my goal. Nothing but quiet on the other side. Perhaps it's time to reconsider everything. She let out a breath, then straightened her posture. However, I refused to simply turn my back. Not at this moment. In the serene hospital ward, Grace stood close to Emma's bedside, meticulously adjusting the monitor while wearing gloves, her focus unwavering. Emma lay tranquil, her eyes occasionally fluttering open, the rhythm of her breath more even than it had been. Jack lingered close, propped against the wall, his eyes unwaveringly focused on his daughter. Grace lifted her gaze. She clings to her strength, more resilient than she appears. Jack offered a subtle smile, weariness softened by a sense of relief. I'm not sure how you manage it all. How do you maintain this tranquility? Grace gave a slight shrug. Years of honing my craft. Yet, it becomes simpler when there is a glimmer of hope. Jack crossed his arms. Finding hope has been quite a challenge recently. She moved in closer. It need not be. Not if we stand united in this. Jack gazed at her, the significance unmistakable, not merely in his role as a doctor, but as a vital figure in both Emma's life and his own. In her modest office at the clinic, Grace held her phone, deep in thought. The proposal from Seattle General still held significant value. She gazed at the screen, the message from Elaine still illuminating gently. Her musings were suddenly disrupted by a message from Jack. Gathering this evening. It's time for a conversation. Later that evening, Jack made his way to Grace's apartment, wearing a rare expression, a hesitant smile. He held a modest bouquet of wildflowers, unpretentious yet meaningful. You didn't have to bring me flowers, Grace said softly, her heart warmed by the thoughtful gesture. Jack gave a nonchalant shrug. I thought we might benefit from a touch of the ordinary. They were nestled in her living room, the soft glow of low light creating delicate shadows around them. Jack started off carefully, contemplating the hospital offer. I prefer to keep this simple and straightforward. The path ahead holds great significance. Grace gently shook her head, a subtle gesture of disbelief. Emma's well-being is important and I want to support her and you through this. Jack extended his hand, gently grasping hers. Let's ensure this succeeds, regardless of the challenges. Her smile held a quiet sincerity, soft yet heartfelt. In unity, the following day, Jack returned to the office, gathering enthusiasm and backing. He dedicated countless hours to calls, engaging with pivotal investors and company executives, unveiling a definitive and steadfast strategy. No aggressive acquisition would occur while he was in charge. His revitalized determination infused his voice with a stability he had not experienced in weeks. He expressed to a board member that he wasn't seeking sympathy. I seek your trust. Believe that family creates a robust foundation, rather than a fragile one. By mid-afternoon, the news had spread. A meticulously crafted press release. Jack had garnered sufficient support to thwart Olivia's attempts. In a private email to the board, Olivia expressed, I will take a step back for now, but I hope this isn't the last you hear from me. That evening, Jack and Grace reconvened at the hospital. Emma sat up, wrapped in a cozy blanket, fully awake. Jack raised a spoonful of applesauce to her lips. Take it easy, champ. Emma chuckled gently, her eyes glimmering with delight. Grace observed, her heart brimming with emotion. She is making progress with each passing day. Jack gave a slight nod. It seems as though we've emerged victorious from a struggle we were unaware of. Grace leaned in and whispered, because we were battling it side by side. Jack gazed at her. Grace, I wish to create something special for Emma, and for every child like her. Could you clarify what you mean? He paused for a moment, then a smile broke across his face. A cornerstone for inquiry and assistance, named in honor of Emma. I would love for you to join in. Grace's breath hitched. Jack grasped her hand. You have been the essence of this struggle. I can't imagine doing it without you by my side. Her eyes sparkled with a captivating light. I find it difficult to decline. After tucking Emma in for the night, Grace settled down with Jack in the cozy ambience of his living room. The city lights danced through the window. Jack mentioned casually regarding that hospital offer. Grace contemplated. I mentioned to Elaine that I would need a bit of time. I seek certainty. Jack beamed with delight. Perhaps the solution lies within these words. Where your passion lies. She rested her head gently against his shoulder. Kinship. Jack gave a slight nod. Prioritize family above all else. A gentle breeze wafted in through the open window, bringing along the invigorating aroma of renewal and optimism. In the stillness of her polished workspace, Olivia found herself in solitude. The city's glow enveloped her, casting her in a striking silhouette. She gazed at the skyline. Her expression became gentler, more contemplative. A notification glowed on her phone from a familiar name from the past. Transformation is a challenging endeavor, yet it remains within the realm of possibility. She offered a subtle smile, fingers drumming a gentle cadence on the surface of the desk. Perhaps this marked the dawn of a fresh chapter, not solely for the organization but for her own sake. As the morning sun bathed Jack, Grace, and Emma in its gentle warmth, they stepped out of the clinic, a sense of renewal in the air. Emma clasped their hands tightly, her strides more confident, her grin more radiant. Jack gazed down at Grace, prepared for whatever lies ahead. Grace clasped his hand tightly. In unison, for the first time in ages, Jack felt a profound certainty about the future they would create. A narrative crafted from love, resilience, and hope. 2 days later, the evening air hummed gently with anticipation within the majestic hall of Seattle's Waterfront Event Center. The charity gala for pediatric health was alive with energy. Guests adorned in elegant attire, the soft murmur of conversation intertwining with gentle melodies. Yet, within the refined ambience, Jack Reynolds sensed each step growing more burdensome than before, the gravity of the impending announcement pressing heavily in his chest. He lingered just off stage, fiddling with his tie for the third time. Beside him, Grace observed in silence, her fingers woven together with his. The brief pause of tranquility shared between them was invaluable. I'm not sure if I can manage this, Jack confessed quietly. Sharing all of this with such a large audience, Grace smiled, calm yet unwavering. You're not merely conveying a business choice. You're revealing your passion. That requires genuine fortitude. Jack inhaled deeply. Emma inspires me to take action, not just for her, but for every child who shares her experience. In that moment, Emma emerged, grasping her mother's hand. Her cheeks glowed with enthusiasm, and her eyes shimmered with a hope that had been absent for far too long. Jack lowered himself to her eye level, gently tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear. Are you prepared to demonstrate your strength, young one? Emma nodded, her expression radiating courage. Behind the scenes, the event coordinator gave a subtle nod. Jack's moment was approaching. Very well, he murmured softly to Grace. Let's get started. As Jack approached the microphone, the stage lights illuminated the scene, and the murmurs faded into silence. With cameras capturing every moment, pens racing across pages, and the attention of the crowd locked onto him. Good evening, everyone, Jack started, his voice steady and composed. I appreciate everyone for coming together to champion the well-being of our children. This has grown increasingly significant to me in recent months. He halted for a moment, casting a glance to the side where Grace and Emma observed him. As many of you are aware, my daughter Emma has been battling a significant health challenge. Throughout this journey, I've discovered that existence transcends mere labor or achievement. It revolves around the individuals dear to us, the struggles we endure side by side, and the mark we leave behind. Jack inhaled deeply, bracing himself for what he was about to say next. In light of this, I am here to share that I will be resigning from my position as CEO of Reynolds Technologies. I wish to concentrate on my family, prioritize Emma's well-being, and create something significant in her honor. A wave of astonishment and whispers cascaded through the crowd. Yet, this isn't merely about retreating, Jack pressed on, drawing power from the focus of those around him. Grace Parker, who is not only Emma's pediatrician but also a cherished friend, will be collaborating with me as a partner in a new foundation focused on research and support for childhood autoimmune illnesses. The audience stirred, the weight of his words resonating. Jack offered a warm smile as he cast a glance toward Grace. The name we've chosen is the Emma Reynolds Foundation. Cheers erupted, heartfelt and sincere. Grace moved ahead and grasped the microphone delicately. Thanks, Jack. This foundation will concentrate on research and resources aimed at assisting families dealing with illnesses similar to Emma's. I feel privileged to be included in this. Her gaze locked with Jack's, brimming with potential. Following the speeches, the gala transitioned into a festive celebration. Friends, colleagues, and even a few board members came forward to offer their congratulations. Later, Jack and Grace discovered a serene spot, close to the expansive windows that framed the shimmering water beyond. Emma was guided to her resting place by a nurse, yet she cheerfully waved goodbye as she departed. Jack relaxed his jacket and allowed a genuine smile to spread across his face, a rare sight in recent weeks. It resonates deeply, as if embarking on a fresh journey, Grace acknowledged with a nod. Indeed, it does. It's more than merely the foundation or the organization. It revolves around us. Indeed, Jack murmured gently, I have come to realize that I do not wish to exist in a state of conflict between my professional life and my family. I desire a blend of authenticity and equilibrium. Grace's hand sought his once more. I'm not going anywhere, Jack. The clinic, the community in this place. This is the place I aspire to be. Alongside you and Emma. Jack felt a rush of emotion. I'm truly delighted to hear you say that. I can't fathom undertaking this journey without your presence. She smiled, drawing nearer. Couldn't either. The following morning, the clinic had an altered atmosphere. Grace glided through the well-known rooms, a soft thrill coursing through her as the foundation's launch danced in her thoughts. Emma's laughter resonated gently in the adjacent waiting area, a melody that filled Grace's heart with a profound sense of appreciation. Jack made his entrance in the mid-morning light, a small box from a local florist in hand. He presented it to Grace, who unwrapped it to discover a delicate silver bracelet adorned with Emma's initials. For you, Jack said, his voice soft and warm. This serves as a constant reminder that this struggle, our destiny, is forever with you. Grace fought to suppress a smile as she slid it on with care. It's absolutely flawless. They exchanged a glance that conveyed so much without a word. As the sun began to dip in the sky, Emma beckoned them to join her outdoors. The spring sun bathed the clinic courtyard in warmth, and she dashed across the grass, her vitality blossoming with each passing day. Jack and Grace shared a look, a wordless pact between them. No matter what obstacles lay ahead, they would confront them side by side. Meanwhile, in a serene cafe somewhere in the city, Olivia cradled her coffee, her eyes flicking over the screen of her phone. She perused the latest headlines regarding Jack's public declaration and the establishment of the new foundation. A delicate, nostalgic smile graced her lips. A new message made her phone vibrate. I'm really impressed by your achievements. It's time to carve out your unique journey. She gazed out the window, the skyline drenched in the warm embrace of the setting sun. For the first time in ages, she found herself receptive to the notion of change that didn't involve conflict. That evening, Jack, Grace, and Emma gathered for a modest dinner in Jack's home. The atmosphere was soothing and inviting. Emma engaged in a lively discussion about her school projects and the narratives she aspired to share. Jack glanced at Grace, then at Emma, a subtle assurance reflecting in his gaze. There's much to create, not merely the groundwork, but a life that all three of us truly deserve. Grace tightened her grip on his hand. Emma smiled broadly. Kin. The city outside pressed on, relentless in its progress. Yet within those walls, a sense of calm prevailed, unwavering and brimming with optimism. The future lay before them, waiting to be crafted. A gentle breeze rustled the fresh leaves outside the clinic as Jack, Grace, and Emma descended the steps, embracing the vibrant spring morning. Almost a week had passed since the charity gala, and Jack had made a profound choice to prioritize family and faith moving forward. The city seemed transformed to him now, avenue not only for achieving professional aspirations, but also a sanctuary for crafting a fulfilling existence. Emma danced forward, her spirit radiating like the morning sun, racing toward a lush patch of grass in the courtyard. Grace beamed and locked eyes with Jack as they observed her play with abandon, the final remnants of illness dissipating from the vibrant glimmer in Emma's eyes. She's truly becoming stronger, Grace remarked, her voice airy yet rich with significance. Witnessing this unfold is truly a privilege. Jack nodded, his typical sharpness dulled by a sense of relief and a glimmer of hope. I appreciate your support. You provided her with more than just treatment. You instilled in her the courage to stand her ground. Grace shook her head, a soft laugh escaping her lips. No, Jack, she was battling from the very beginning. You simply never lost faith in her. That is what truly matters. Jack's smile widened, radiating the warmth of someone who has discovered their perfect moment. Emma glanced back and shouted, "Join me in some fun." Her laughter danced through the stillness of the morning, a sweet and enchanting tune. Jack cast a fleeting look at Grace. Would you like to pursue her for a while? Her laughter flowed effortlessly, a melody so pure that Jack wished he could capture it for eternity. Only if you promise not to let her come out on top every single time. They pursued Emma as one, the trio forming a small circle in a blossoming day, their steps buoyant and brimming with fresh vigor. A serene figure hovered at the clinic's front desk. Olivia Burns stood with a folder clutched in one hand, her refined demeanor more gentle than it had been. Fewer flames in her gaze, and more a sense of resignation. Jack caught sight of her from the other side of the hall. A sudden flutter washed over him, not anger, but an unexpected wave of empathy. She had been a formidable adversary, indeed, yet also a woman molded by her own anxieties and shortcomings. After what felt like an eternity, Jack finally made his way over. "Olivia," he said, his voice steady and composed. She stood tall, giving a slight nod. Jack gestured toward a cozy seating nook close by. "Are you available for a conversation? We could benefit from some resolution." Olivia paused for a moment, but ultimately decided to follow him. As she settled into her seat, a long exhale escaped her lips. "Your journey over the past months has captivated me, Jack. It has been a profound experience." Her gaze held firm now, devoid of any prior tension. "I believed I had to seize the company from you to demonstrate my worth. For my own reflection." And Jack inquired softly. With a soft sigh, she brought her hands together in her lap. "It appears that what I truly required was comprehension." She locked eyes with him, a wave of genuine emotion surfacing. "You've created something genuine, not merely a venture, but a community and a mission. I lost track of that. I'm stepping away, but without resentment. Perhaps a touch more enlightened." Jack nodded, a sense of relief washing over him. "It's wonderful to hear that, Olivia." She rose to depart and hesitated. "Perhaps one day our journeys will intertwine in a different way. In the meantime, I wish you nothing but the best." "Thank you," Jack expressed with genuine sincerity. As she walked away, Jack sensed the burdens of the past year's struggles dissipate, giving way to a newfound lightness, a sense of tranquility. Outside once more, Grace and Emma settled onto a bench, observing as the sky transformed into a gentle afternoon gold. Jack took his place among them, positioning himself next to Grace and drawing Emma in closely between them. Jack started, his voice low yet resolute. "I've been reflecting. This foundation, Emma's foundation, represents so much more than a mere title. This is our opportunity to contribute, to ensure that other children won't have to face their battles in solitude as she once did. Grace nodded with enthusiasm. We have the ability to develop initiatives, foster understanding, assist families, and drive meaningful transformation. Emma gazed upward, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. I wish to contribute as well. Jack beamed with delight. The struggles he endured months prior have now given way to a comforting embrace. You already know, my dear. You already possess that ability. Grace tightened her grip on Jack's hand, her gaze mirroring the path they had traveled together, filled with fears, pain, and now a glimmer of hope. As dusk fell, the trio made their way back to Jack's abode, enveloped in the serene embrace of well-known surroundings. Emma ascended the couch, her tiny hands gripping a book. How about we dive into a book together? She proposed. Grace settled beside her, effortlessly flipping open the book. Jack observed from a distance, the room radiating with pure joy. As Grace immersed herself in the text, Jack inched closer, captivated by her focus. It was only through the experience of losing everything that I came to grasp the true essence of what truly matters. She lifted her gaze, her eyes locking onto his. And at this moment, he smiled gently. At this moment, I am prepared to embrace the life I desire, prioritizing love above all else. A place where we create something collaboratively, not solely for Emma, but for everyone involved. Grace's expression became gentler, her fingers gliding softly over Emma's arm. I desire that as well. Emma's voice resonated beautifully. That seems like an ideal family. Jack chuckled softly. Indeed, it does. A few days later, the foundation launched its inaugural community meeting at the clinic. Families came together, exchanging tales and dreams beneath the gentle glow of a Seattle afternoon. Grace and Jack stood together, facing the audience. Grace expressed a desire for this to be a space where every parent can find support during their child's illness, ensuring they never have to face it alone. In a realm where resources are tangible and support unwavering, Jack nodded. Emma imparted valuable lessons on resilience. Through this foundation, we aim to share that resilience with families throughout the city and beyond. The room buzzed with enthusiasm as hands lifted in appreciation, radiating a vibrant and hopeful energy. Later that week, Jack and Grace found themselves once more in the clinic's courtyard, enveloped in a moment of solitude. Jack delved into his pocket, retrieving a petite notebook. I began to put some thoughts down, he admitted with a hint of shyness. Concepts, strategies, aspirations. Grace accepted it with a smile, leafing through the pages adorned with sketches and annotations detailing the foundation's evolution. This is incredible, she murmured. You truly accomplished this. Jack gave a humble shrug. I truly appreciate your support in making this happen. She inclined her body, allowing her head to gently settle against his shoulder. No matter what lies ahead, we confront it together as one. Jack shut his eyes, savoring the moment. In unity, in a serene nook of the city, Olivia found herself seated in a quaint cafe, the gentle afternoon sunlight illuminating her contemplative expression. A familiar buzz from her phone signaled a message from a long-lost friend. Impressive work. It's time to carve out your unique journey. She smiled, the firm hold of aspiration easing just enough to embrace potential. Perhaps her narrative held deeper layers yet to be uncovered. That evening, Jack gazed out from his window, observing the city lights shimmering beneath him. The sound of Emma's laughter resonated from the adjacent room, while Grace's soft humming floated gently through the atmosphere. He grasped his phone and inhaled deeply before sending a message to Grace. I am prepared. Let us create our future. A response arrived swiftly. Forever. Jack beamed with delight. The horizon gleams with endless possibilities. The following morning dawned with the promise of fresh possibilities. Jack, Grace, and Emma emerged into the refreshing embrace of the spring sunshine. The doors of the clinic shut softly behind them, a representation of a conclusion reached and a fresh start on the horizon. Side by side, they moved ahead, resilient, together, and brimming with optimism. The city unfolded before them, expansive and inviting, and for the first time in ages, so did existence.